So my goal is to do this video without making any edits. I want to be thoughtful about what I'm going to get ready to say. One of my girlfriends messaged me something in a private group, and it was T.S. Madison on the red carpet with her bodyguard. And there was a few months ago, or earlier last year, she said that her and her bodyguard was engaged and that, they were potentially going to be married. And recently, in an exchange between her and Monique, she said that he was just her bodyguard. But when she's having all of these monumental moments, he's right there with her. So I definitely think that they are intimate with each other. And I think that there's a connection there, a strong connection. Does she want potentially more? Probably so. I don't know. I'm not, or is that convenient for her? Is it convenient for both of them? That's not really our business. If it works, it works. But I will say this. When I was living in South Africa, I had a partner who didn't have the resources and the access that I had. And I was able to be comfortable, with the with what I need, and what comfortability for me looks like versus what comfortability for T.S. Madison looks like are obviously not the same things. But again, I was comfortable with the resources that I had when I was in Africa. I was comfortable enough. There's video footage, there's, documentation. I was very, very good at documenting while I was in Africa. And even though I cared about him, he was a guide. He knew the land. He knew how to communicate language that needed to be communicated in certain spaces. And he was very protective of me. I had the provisions to provide, and he protected. And they say that's what a husband does. A husband provides and protects. And so if you already got the provisions together and all you really need is some added protection, then you hire security. And I can't say that I don't understand this, because a lot of times in relationships, even when the man is the breadwinner, a lot of times the intuition and the wisdom comes through pillow talk. And so the woman may not be earning the income, but is still intuitively guiding the house. And I think that this is why a lot of men resent women, because the ones that don't work and the ones that are taken care of, they kind of resent them because they got to get out there and work. They got to get out there and navigate society. And that's why a lot of them come home and they take it out on the wife, because they're navigating society, and it's so they've been bullied on and oppressed, by their bosses and their superiors, and so they want to come home and feel superior at home. That's where this whole term, the king of my castle, comes from. And a lot of girls, whether they be born with vaginas or not, they don't want to have a king. They just want to have security. They don't want a king in their castle. They want to sit on the throne. That's That's been the downside of patriarchy, is that how society has been set up is the man goes out, he earns everything, he gets the bread, but then he come home and he resent the world and he want to take out that pain on his home. He want to feel able to just like throw his weight around in his home, which is understandable, but at the same time, now because you've been oppressed out there, you want to be the oppressor in here. And so now, rather than wanting you to sit, rather than y'all sitting on that throne together, rather than you respecting that, hey, we are both playing our parts, we're both dealing with strains, we're both dealing with inconveniences, but we imagine it's a free ride for these women. And then it's compounded when the woman is also making that money. And so now if he's sitting at home, he may feel insecure because he is still internalizing and interpreting the world in a way that says he's supposed to be getting the money. He's supposed to be bringing home the paper. And so he's feeling insecure because he's not providing. He's only protecting. And this is the thing that I want people to understand. When you enter a relationship with someone, you're just like they say, stop judging your life by somebody else's accomplishments. Stop judging your relationships by other people's standards. Your relationship, just like you have your own personal relationship with your creator, with your God, with your God goddess, that is, your partner is your mirror. You have your own personal relationship with them. And whatever you agree upon, whatever works for you as two consenting adult beings, as two consenting, sentient, conscious, presence, consenting, conscious, aware, and present beings, that is your agreement. That is nobody else's agreement. That's nobody else's agreement. Like people will say, oh, this is how it's supposed to go, or this is what society expects, or this is how I was raised. But at the end of the day, what you and your partner or partners agree upon and give consent to, that's between y'all. A huge problem in society is we try to live our lives based on other people's expectations and other people's standards. Maybe that's her pet name for him. My bodyguard. 'Cause he go in my body. Baby, did y'all see the Bodyguard? Baby, she might be living out her own version of Whitney Houston in the Bodyguard. This may be her own version of it. And so that's just my whole journey with it. People have to be comfortable. People have to feel safe. People have to feel seen. People have to have the space to be who they are. And so that's my thing. I have a lot of things that I could say about T.S. Madison that could sound like I'm taking shots, but I want people to know that even with all of the things that I've said about her that were in disagreement to, the choices that she's made and how it's impacted community, I am still a fair person. A lot of people just don't like to hear what I have to bring to the table. But I'm not a person who holds grudges forever. I'm a fair person, and I don't throw people away. Baby, I have to take space from people when people keep on and keep on and keep on and keep on doing the same thing. I'm not a person who says when you show me who you are, believe them. Because if I thought like that, when you went to prison or when a person did something where they had to serve time or where they had to be corrected for the behavior, I wouldn't believe or wouldn't feel that after this person paid their debt to society, they were trustworthy. You showed me who you were. I don't care if you have paid your debt to society. I think you still the same person you was when you went to jail, if not worse. Like, I can't live like that. I can't live looking at people like that when they show you who you are, when they consistently, when they keep showing you year after year after year after year, then that's when I'll believe it. When they keep biting you on the ass, when they keep harming you. Yeah, but other than that, I don't throw people away. I will take space from you, but I don't throw people away. I will definitely take space. Because sometimes space is a gift. So, I didn't say anything about her and Beauty in the Black because, I'm only human. I don't think I would have been able to avoid saying something that could have been misconstrued as me attempting to take a shot at that woman, and I did not want, so I just didn't even mention her in my recap. But I can talk about this with thoughtfulness and compassion. I can say that if the relationship works for you, if everyone is consenting and agreeing upon it, and everyone is satisfied and content, that's how I legit feel about it. Because I had to play the whole tape in my own life. I stayed with him the whole 9 months I was there, and he was my lover and my protector. I didn't necessarily need a provider. I didn't necessarily, and that's a conversation that I think a lot of women who are, whether you're born with a vagina or not, a lot of women are uncomfortable with having that conversation. And in navigating a patriarchal society, you need someone prepared to engage in a way that this society is centered in. And this society is centered in violence, combat, male vibrato. They call it the streets. It's a whole world out there. They call it the streets. And the men, that's their stomping grounds. That's where they run. That's where they reign at. And so you have to have an ambassador or a guide to help you navigate through that if you are not masculine presenting or if you're not resting in your masculinity. You need a partner, an accomplice, an ally, a relationship, a husband, a bodyguard. So I hope that made sense, and I hope that this was a thoughtful conversation. Let me know if you thought it was thoughtful, because I didn't want this to be a conversation that I had behind the scenes, but I also wanted to show that I had enough integrity and enough wisdom and thoughtfulness to be able to have this conversation publicly with myself and with y'all. And I'm not going to edit this video on purpose. Yeah. Anyway, I love y'all. Lelem Nation. Purple ones, rise.